We're going to watch some clips of Kamala Harris on the Shannon Sharpe show.
So part of what we have to help people understand is don't think you're in Donald Trump's club. You're not.
Right.
He's not going to be thinking about you. You think he's having you over for dinner? So...
Do you hear the Blaccent? Do you hear the... It's back again. One more time.
So part of what we have to help people understand is don't think you're in Donald Trump's club. You're not.
Right.
He's not going to be thinking about you. You think he's having you over for dinner?
First of all, is a presidential candidate having you over for dinner like a metric as to whether or not they should be a president? If so, Kamala Harris is definitely on the back foot when it comes to that metric, because Donald Trump is constantly having people over at Mar-a-Lago to visit with him for parties, for dinners, where he does indeed sit down and eat with them. And if you look at the demographic of people that are invited to his place, to Mar-a-Lago to sit and have dinner with them, it's people all across the board, all different races, backgrounds, all different net worths or whatever it is you want to judge them off of. It's a pretty diverse bunch of people. So I would say if you're most likely to have a dinner with either of these candidates, it actually is Donald Trump. Now, I don't know what she's referring to when she says you ain't gonna be part of the club. What club? What are you talking about? We're in a presidential race. If anything, she has stayed the most separated from the American people. She's the least likely candidate that you will ever, rub shoulders with or have a normal time with. She's always doing a PR stunt. She's never being herself. She's always putting on an accent for the different crowds that she's talking to. Donald Trump, at the very least, is consistently himself, is consistently talking to the American people. We've all seen the clips of him out playing golf and, people roll up on him and they say, hey, Mr. President, well, how's it going on the campaign? And they're secretly filming him. And you see him talking to the American people, just a regular ass dude. The other day, he came across a TikTok, and I believe it was a young kid who is in the hospital with cancer right now. And the kid was saying it's a dream of his to have dinner at the White House. And Donald Trump responded to his TikTok and was like, hey, get better as soon as you can. And as soon as you're better, you're going to be able to, have dinner with me at the White House. And I cordially invite you to do that whenever you're in the shape to do so. Have you ever seen Kamala Harris do anything like that? Even if it's PR, even if it's just to win the race and put on a good face, she can't even fathom doing something like that for the American people. She claims she worked at McDonald's, in the 80s? We don't have any evidence of that. Even McDonald's comes out and says we have no record of that. Donald Trump shows up in his suit and tie, puts on a McDonald's uniform and does it. And of course it's PR or whatever. But he is uniquely, I think, tapped in to what the average American is going through, what their lifestyle looks like. He knows how to speak to them. And that's been the major, driving force of his campaign, is the simplicity with which he addresses the American people and with just how much he is himself in a very authentic way. Now, can you say the same at all for Kamala Harris? Whether or not you like either of these candidates, you cannot say the same for Kamala Harris. So I don't know what she's talking about. Is like, you're not in the club and he's not going to invite you over for dinner. Essentially what she's trying to say is that he is a racist elite. And she's trying to tell black people through this Shannon Sharpe interview that he might vie for your vote and say that he's going to do something for Black America, but you're never going to sit at the same table as a white man, which is just ridiculous. I mean, off the top of my head, I can think of many black people who have actually literally sat down for dinner with Donald Trump. I mean, we just saw Amber Rose at Mar-a-Lago having dinner with Donald Trump, and she is literally a former video vixen who was hosting slut walks and has face tattoos. And she's rolling up to Mar-a-Lago and having dinner with Donald Trump and also happens to be partially black. So what is she meaning by this? She's just trying to otherize people by claiming that Donald Trump is the otherizer, and it's not working. But she has the same talking points she lands on all the time. In fact, this is another clip from the Shannon Sharpe interview where she uses the same phrase twice within literal moments of one another.
Being able to see what is possible and not be burdened by other people's limited ability to see the same. You cannot ever be burdened by other people's limited ability to understand who you are. Like, don't let their limited ability burden you about your own ability. Being able to
She loves the word burden and unburdened. She really does. She loves that word. And I just know that they've got her in a room somewhere with press and PR training where they're just grilling her. And that's very effective if you have like a one-time moment where you have to come out and really shine and shine in the face of Donald Trump and the media and the American people. It's not so effective when you've grilled them to the point where they cannot divert from what you've told them to say. And that seems to be her problem consistently throughout this campaign. And when she goes off script, she says things like, he's not going to invite you over for dinner. You ain't going to be a part of his club. And then it's just like, Kamala, shut your mouth. Go back to the script. We gave you the script. I know that you wrote the script on your hand before you went on the interview. Just go back to it. Because honestly, the constant repeating of fed lines is better than her being able to give original thoughts, because the original thoughts always land her in a place where she does not want to be consistently.
I see some of y'all referring to the comment section here as well on that podcast, which I'll read a couple in a second. But someone tweeted out within 4 hours of the interview dropping, it had 27,000 dislikes compared to 18,000 likes. So immediately got ratioed. So that was interesting. Some of the top comments, though, are grocery prices need to be unburdened by what has been. This is a quote from Kamala. And 32 minutes in, the children of the community are the children of the community. And then this person says she's dropping her greatest hits today. Someone said, tells me all about how she's Christian. She grew up Hindu and was celebrating Kwanzaa. So people are having a field day in the comments of this thing. And apparently it was ratioed to hell as well. Just thought I'd throw that in there.
I think she like really believes that every time she does an interview, she is talking to like a unique audience that has never heard her before. Like she'll go to a Latin audience and speak to them in her little Latin accent. And she thinks that there's going to be no crossover from people who heard her do the Blaccent at her Detroit rally, or the ones who heard her do the Jamaican/Irish accent on Stephen Colbert. She doesn't know that like these moments exist outside of the very moment that you say them. And people are going to fact check you on this. And they're going to say, hey, there was an inconsistency from last week to today. Now I have one more clip from Shannon Sharpe, where again, we get some wicked accusations against Donald Trump and the Trump campaign. We heard from Whoopi Goldberg, who says apparently he's going to break up your interracial marriages and deport your wives. And then pair the white men back with, I don't know, other white women, presumably. Now Kamala Harris is saying that Trump is going to take away your Second Amendment rights, among others.
Blacks for Trump. They feel that Trump is better for the black community. Can you explain Donald Trump's history with blacks? Where did this come that all of a sudden, I mean, it's been like this because a lot of people used to say, I'm Donald Trump of the ghetto, because he was, I mean, for a lot of blacks, not all, but for some blacks, he was, Madam VP, whether we want to admit it or not, he's revered by some blacks.
But here's the thing. The question for everybody, should he be president of the United States?
Okay.
Right? That's the question. Should he have the ability to sit behind the seal of the President of the United States when he says he wants to terminate the Constitution of the United States? You know what that would mean? In the Constitution of the United States is your Fourth Amendment right against unreasonable search and seizure, your Fifth Amendment right, your Sixth Amendment right to an attorney.
Well, a lot of rights going to be gone. The First Amendment.
But the First Amendment, the Second Amendment.
Yes.
Look, I'm in favor of the Second Amendment. I don't believe we should be taking anybody's guns away.
What are you talking about? At what point will Donald Trump, even if he wanted to, have the capability to terminate the U.S. Constitution? At what point has he ever stated he wants to terminate the Constitution? In fact, we have statements of Kamala Harris saying that she doesn't care that what she's doing is unconstitutional, and specifically in reference to the Second Amendment itself. We've spoke about her being on the presidential, Democratic nominee debate stage, talking to Joe Biden, and she had to grapple with the fact that she said through executive action she wants to be able to take away Americans' guns. So at the end, you just heard her say, I'm not trying to take away anybody's guns. I support the Second Amendment. Although we've heard her talk about assault weapons ban. On that stage, she said she wanted to take away people's guns through executive action. Joe Biden at the time said, Kamala, that's unconstitutional. You're not going to be able to do that. That actually flies in the face of our Constitution. And she looked at Joe Biden and said, Joe, why can't you just say, yes, we can? So what is she referring to? In terms of the First Amendment, she's the one who's going after hate speech and misinformation. She and Tim Walz have made that abundantly clear throughout this entire process of their campaign. She wants to take away your First Amendment right. So it's so crazy to then levy that accusation against Donald Trump. I just don't know what's going on here. And I think this is her veering off script. And I honestly, part of me thinks that she did this not because she really wanted to give this accusation about Donald Trump, but because she kind of wanted to prove that she knows what the different amendments are. She like goes through each amendment and then just like says exactly what it is, which is the same thing that you learned in like 3rd grade civics class, okay? And I think she just wanted to prove like, I know a little bit about the Constitution and I know what the different amendments are, so I'm gonna say them out loud, but also tie it with a very awful accusation against Donald Trump. When she veers off script, she lies and she cannot help it because she has no consistency and no authenticity within herself, guys. So yeah, that's her Shannon Sharpe interview in a nutshell. And it's no wonder that she's getting all these crazy comments. And it's no wonder she's getting ratioed right underneath it.